It's really rare to see a legal challenge to a social media platform like this, but it's happening. A long-awaited victory for families who claim Snapchat contributed to their teenage children's fentanyl overdose deaths. A California judge ruling this lawsuit against the company can move forward. Now, the families of more than 60 young victims filing the lawsuit in 2022 accusing Snap of facilitating the sale of illegal drugs. 6 months later, the group filing an expanded version of the lawsuit, claiming the social media platform uses its disappearing message feature as the go-to means to distribute drugs. Snap did try to get the lawsuit dismissed a few months ago and plans to continue to defend itself. NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber is here to weigh in. Good morning to you, Jesse. Could these families win?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that this case has moved forward is a huge win in and of itself, because I think a lot of legal analysts were wondering whether or not Snapchat would be granted immunity, which is traditionally what we see from these platforms. There is a law in place. It's called Section 230, and basically it grants immunity for these platforms against what their third parties post on their platforms. But having said that, this judge allowed 12 claims to go forward: negligence, misrepresentation, wrongful death. So it's going to, by all accounts, head to a trial where there's going to be a presentation of evidence and a determination of whether or not Snapchat is liable. Now, just because the judge has allowed this case to go forward doesn't necessarily mean it's a strong case. We'll have to wait and see. But the fact that it is going to trial means there is a potentiality that these plaintiffs could win.
So the disappearing message feature seems to be the real best evidence for these families, because like all young people who've used the app, or anybody, I guess it doesn't matter if they're young or old, you can send something and it immediately goes away. No evidence for somebody who would maybe have seen that this was to facilitate a drug deal. But doesn't intent matter here for the company?
So that's a great question. And I think that feature of Snapchat is what makes it different from other kind of social media companies. When you're talking about negligence, it's not so much about intent. If you're talking about misrepresentation, then you're talking about intent. Was Snapchat misrepresenting what their platform does? Did they induce illegal conduct on their platform? Did they fail to warn their users about illegal conduct on their platform? Was it foreseeable that someone would be able to use Snapchat for drug deals? These are going to be questions to determine at trial. So I think it's really interesting that the disappearing function of Snapchat, I think that's what separates this, and why the judge ultimately determined that this is a case that maybe is not fully protected by Section 230, as I mentioned, but something that can be decided and has to see whether or not Snapchat failed to really appreciate the risks associated with this.
Okay, so let's just make sure we put out there that Snapchat has denied all wrongdoing. They are saying they're not guilty of negligence, no guilt when it comes to parental interference. But the complaint says that when Snap was subpoenaed for records about an alleged drug dealer's account, it took 9 months to get a response in terms of the documentation. So what is the best form of defense for Snapchat in this trial, if any?
Well, look, we have to be clear as well. This is a litigation. There could be a number of reasons why you don't turn over documents or try to delay it. But look, for their point of view, this is now a standard case. This is a case of did they have a defective product? Were they acting negligently? Did they see that these risks were foreseeable? Were these risks foreseeable? Did they lie? Did they misrepresent what their product can do? This is going to be really important. And you're going to see email exchanges. You're going to learn a lot about the platform. They're going to have an opportunity to defend themselves. And remember, I said there's 12 claims. They're all really specific. They're all different. So Snapchat is going to have to defend itself in a very particular fashion with respect to each one of these claims. And this judge, I should mention as well, dismissed a number of other claims. Like they said that Snapchat didn't aid and abet drug dealers. So, this judge was very careful about what the potential liability of Snapchat is, but they're going to have to defend themselves.
Really quickly, will this set precedents? Because you think about, this is not the only platform where people conduct drug deals. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, I mean, you name it. Will this set precedent for the tech industry? Potentially, yes. But again, it all becomes a question of whether or not these plaintiffs are going to win. Section 230, as I mentioned, is a really strong blanket of immunity. But if you induce illegal conduct on your platform, if you fail to warn about it, that's when you can find yourself in jeopardy. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.